Give your sister your luxury car as a wedding gift. My mother declared into the mic before 150 guests. I froze. Then a stranger stood and said, "Touch her assets again, and you'll lose yours." The hall fell silent. My name's Brandon. I'm 35, the oldest child, and the one who never made a scene. I'm a psychologist. My days are full of people stories, anxiety loops, boundary violations, family guilt spirals. I help them sort it out. I write notes and neat bullet points. I breathe slowly. I don't raise my voice. I drive a midnight blue coupe I bought secondhand, but babied like it was new. My sister Ava is 28 and allergic to the word no. My mother thinks oldest means provider. My father floats above conflict until it lands on his wallet. That's the cast. I wish I were exaggerating. I wasn't supposed to be on at the wedding. I was just a brother with a toast card in my pocket and a soft laugh ready for the photos. The ballroom smelled like roses and buttercream. The DJ was testing the mic, glasses clinked. I was rehearsing a simple line in my head to Ava and Leo. May you choose each other every ordinary day. Warm, brief, safe. Then Mom picked up the microphone. She didn't ask. She didn't whisper. She turned to the 150 guests and smiled the way she does when she's about to say something fun. "Everyone," she said, tapping the mic. "A surprise. Brandon is gifting Ava his luxury car as a wedding present." The clapping wasn't clapping. It was nervous friction. People looked at me, then at the car keys on the table. I felt my jaw lock. Blood got loud in my ears. My face must have done something because Ava's lips curled. Hopeful, greedy, both. I didn't stand. I didn't smile. I froze. Mom kept going. He always wanted to do something special for his baby sister. She winked at me like we were co-conspirators. Then a chair scraped. A stranger, mid-40s, slate suit, calm eyes, stood up from a table near the back. She wasn't from our side. Her voice cut clean through the speakers. "Try to take his assets again," she said to my mother, "and you'll lose yours." The hall fell silent. Someone dropped a fork. The DJ slid his hand off the fader. Mom's smile cracked. Ava blinked like a ring light died. I felt one clear thought hit the surface of my mind. Simple and solid. I am not doing this again. But I didn't move. Not yet. That came later. First came the kind of silence where a family decides who you are in public. And I've learned professionally, personally, that the first person to speak after a shock sets the narrative. I let Mom try. Obviously, he was going to surprise her. She said bright and tight at once. "He's just shy." I looked at my glass of water and counted 3 breaths. Shy, sure, but not stupid. And not an ATM with a smile. This didn't start at the wedding. It started years back in smaller rooms, softer voices. I put myself through grad school. Sliding scale clients by day, barista shifts by night, supervision hours on weekends. I ate soup and logged every dollar. When I finally opened my practice, one rented office, second-hand couch, lamp with a crooked shade. I thought maybe the family math would shift. I thought doctor would mean adult, not donor. The first big ask was temporary. Ava's last semester. Tuition glitch. Mom said they won't let her register unless we pay the balance by Friday. It was a number that made my stomach flip. I transferred it anyway. "We'll pay you back," Dad said, staring somewhere above my shoulder. They didn't. I wrote it off as love. Then it was just until I find a job. Then security deposit. Then dress for the interview, because appearances matter. Each time Mom script, "You're the stable one, honey." Each time my chest tightened. Then I unclenched and paid. Boundaries are easier to teach than to keep. When I finally bought that car, it wasn't a flex. It was a promise to myself. Leather conditioned by hand on Sunday mornings. Service history in a tidy folder. Insurance in my name only. No co-signers, no favors. It represented something I didn't know how to explain to them. A line. A year later, the group chat began to rot. "Bran, can I borrow the car for a week?" Ava wrote, "My friend needs rides to rehearsal." I said, "No insurance." Mom replied with a string of rolling eye emojis like a teenager. Dad dropped a thumbs up. No idea for whom. There were smaller cuts. My mother accidentally added herself as the emergency contact at my office and started answering calls when my receptionist was at lunch. She'd whisper, "He's busy with important clients," into my business line like she was auditioning for manager. I told her to stop. She said, "I'm helping," and sent me a list of better session fees I should have the confidence to charge. I changed the phone password. The money pressure ramped up a year before the wedding. Leo's family was very traditional, Mom said, which apparently means they like big venue, band, flowers, favors. They don't expect us to match, of course, she assured me while forwarding spreadsheets, but it would be lovely if we did. Then the real ask, could you cover the deposit? We're in between things. In between things turned out to be Dad's hobby, turned loss, and Ava's job turned layoff, turned content creation. I said I'd think about it. She said, "We already told them you would." I stared at the message long enough to feel my face get hot. Then I wrote, "No." I pressed send and put my phone face down. Mom called 5 minutes later. "No hello. You're being cruel," she said. "You know we don't have it." I said, "That's the point." She sighed. "You're a psychologist. You understand family. You're supposed to help." I said, "Helping isn't funding." She hung up. A week after that, Dad tried strategy. He took me to lunch at a place where the servers kneel to pour water like they're proposing. He said, "Your sister will only have one wedding." Statistically untrue. It would mean a lot. I said, "Boundaries mean more." He nodded like he heard me. The check came. He slid it across to me with 2 fingers. Then there was the dress emergency. Ava faceted me from a boutique under lighting that makes everyone look important. "This is the one," she said, eyes shining. "If I put down a deposit today, I get the trunk show price." I said, "Then don't." She blinked like I'd switched languages. "You're not serious." "I am." She went still, then cold. "You're so stingy." I said nothing. She delivered the line I could recite in my sleep. Family helps family. The next morning, I woke up to a vote in the family chat. Should Brandon be supportive? It was Mom's idea of fun. Green heart for yes. Red X for no. Dad, click the heart. Ava, click the heart. 2 ants, click the heart. I typed, "This isn't a democracy." Then I left the chat. What I didn't know then, my name was already penciled next to line items I hadn't agreed to, including apparently Brandon's car for Ava. Not alone. A gift. Mom said later she thought it would be romantic. I think she thought it would be permanent. 2 months before the wedding, I got a certified letter addressed to the Brandon family from an insurance agent I'd never met. It was a policy change request adding Ava as a primary driver on my policy. My signature was perfect, too. Perfect. I called the number on the letter. The agent sounded surprised when I answered. "Oh, your mother said you were busy and authorized her to sign for you." I felt something in my jaw click. "She did not," I said. "I had them void the form and add a note. No third-party changes. Owner authorization only in person." After that, I started saving things. Screenshots, voicemails, photos of paperwork. I told myself it was professional. Documentation reduces gaslighting, but it was also personal. If they were going to make me the villain, I would keep the script. 3 weeks before the wedding, Mom called crying. "I'm embarrassed," she said. "We need $15,000 just to cover the last payments. It's your sister's dream." My hands were steady on the phone. Dreams have budgets. She stopped crying. "You're cold." 2 weeks before the wedding, Dad texted, "At least bring the car to display outside the venue. It'll look nice in photos." I replied, "No," he typed, then deleted, then typed again. "Don't make this hard." I didn't respond. I went to work. I ran groups about healthy boundaries. I sat with a teen whose mother used shame like a leash. I told him, "You don't have to earn basic respect." I drove home in silence and heard my own words bounce. The morning of the wedding, Mom called to check on me, which in our language means check on the car. I said I'd be there on time. She said, "Bring both key fobs." I said, "Why?" She laughed high and tight in case one gets lost. I said, no at the venue. A valet reached for my door before my engine quit. Keys, he said. No need, I told him. I'll park. He looked confused but moved. I put the coupe in the corner spot, nose out, behind a pillar like it could hide. You know the rest of the scene. Microphone declaration. That stranger's sentence landing like a gavel, and me frozen with every time I'd said yes tightening around my throat like a tie pulled too short again. The stranger had said again meant she saw it right away. So did I. I didn't grab the mic. I stood and let the room watch me stand. That was enough to quiet the mutters. I walked to the stage without hurrying. Calm is a weapon if you choose it. Congratulations, Ava. Hi, Leo. I said into the mic, my voice steady. I prepared a toast. I'll save it. Light laughter that died quick. Quick correction, I added, eyes on Mom. I'm not gifting my car. AA's face fell like a curtain. Mom smiled thin to a blade. Dad stared at his water glass. I continued. I love my sister, I said. True, in the complicated way love can be true. But my car is mine, paid for by me, titled to me, insured by me, not a family resource, not a dowry, not collateral. Mine. Someone near the bar coughed. Leo's mother sat up straighter. The stranger in the slate suit tilted her head, approving. Mom reached for the mic. I stepped back. No, I said not loudly, but flat. She froze, offended. Brandon, she said, bright and brittle. Don't make this a thing. I glanced at the DJ, then at the speakers. You made it a thing when you announced a gift I never agreed to, I said. In front of 150 people, Ava's voice sliced in. Why are you embarrassing me? She asked, I shiny. Because you promised something you don't own? I said softly. That's embarrassing. She swallowed. You said you'd help? She whispered, like we were alone. I said I'd show up, I replied. I'm here. Mom tried another angle. He's always so literal, she told the room. Laughter from two tables that didn't know us. I kept my face neutral. I pulled my phone from my pocket and opened the folder I'd labeled wedding. I held it up so the screens glowed. On March 12th, I said a policy change form was submitted to my insurer. My signature was forged. On April 2nd, an email to the venue requested that I be invoiced for the final balance. On April 10th, a rental company attempted to run my card for a surprise getaway vehicle. My plate number was listed. I wasn't shouting, I was listening. The tone I use when a client's inner critic tries to rewrite facts. The tone Mom hates. I blocked the changes. I disputed the charges. I set my accounts to require my face in my hand. That shouldn't be necessary with family. I looked at Dad. He looked away. A murmur rolled through the room like a small wave breaking. Leo shifted, then stood up halfway. I didn't know about any of that, he said, palms out. I didn't ask for his car. It was the first thing he'd done that made me like him. The stranger in the slate suit finally spoke again. Good, she said. Keep not asking. A couple of guests laughed, grateful for a release valve. Ava's voice got small. It's just a car, she said, her turning to venom. It's just money. You have it. There it was. The core belief. I stepped closer to the mic. It's not about a car, I said. It's about consent. It's about ownership. It's about the way our family confuses generosity with obligation and silence with permission. Mom exhaled through her nose. You're dramatizing, she said. People are watching. I nodded. They are, I said. That's why I'm being clear. I turned to Ava. I wish you a marriage full of yes, you both agree to, I said. Tonight, my answer is no. The room held still. Not anger. Something else. The moment of behavior ends. I handed the mic to the DJ, not to Mom. I stepped off the stage, and this part matters. Walked past my table, without grabbing my keys, without looking at the door. I went to Leo, shook his hand, and said, enjoy your night. He nodded, shell-shocked, but grateful. As I passed Mom, she hissed. We'll talk later. I said, we will not. This wasn't catharsis yet. This was the snap, the break in the pattern. The first breath after you've been holding one for years. It took about 7 minutes, for the first group chat to light up. That was unnecessary. Aunt Mara typed, "You humiliated your sister." I put my phone on airplane mode and slid it under my plate. I stayed. People assume you leave after a boundary. I didn't. I danced with cousins' kids. I clapped for the cake. I toasted with water. I gave the DJ a revised version of my speech card and asked him to read just the first line during dinner. He did. To Ava and Leo, choose each other on ordinary days. It landed clean. The stranger in the slate suit found me near the coffee station. Up close, she had the resting alertness lawyers and trauma nurses share. "I'm Renee," she said. "Friend of the groom's mom. Estate attorney." I smiled. "Brandon," I said, "professional boundary, hypocrite." She grinned. "You handle that well. Your mother won't think so." "She rarely does," I said. Renee's eyes softened. "If you need a consultation about conservatorship rumors, proxies, forged signatures, call." She slid me a card. The headline, "Assets are boundaries with paperwork." When I finally left, I walked to the far corner of the lot. The car sat where I left it, moonlight catching the curve of the hood. A thin white ribbon had been tied to the side mirror, someone's idea of cute. I untied it and set it gently on the passenger seat. Then I locked the doors, checked the handle twice, and drove home slow. Morning came with bright sun and a migraine of notifications. 27 missed calls from Mom, 11 from Dad, 6 from unknown, which usually means a relative who thinks block numbers are polite. The voicemail transcripts were a museum of tactics. Guilt. "You ruined her night." Minimization. "This got blown out of proportion." Threats. "We'll see you in court about the car title." Nonsensical manipulation. "If you love your sister, you'll fix this." And my favorite revision. "We never said you'd give her the car." It was symbolic. I brewed coffee, opened my laptop, and created a new folder. Post-wedding, I dragged in screenshots. I made a note to call Renee. Monday, I wrote 2 emails. The first to my insurer. Confirm. No policy changes. Verify, all flags remain. Note, no verbal authorizations accepted. The reply came in under an hour. Confirmed. Additional note added in person only. The second to my bank. Lock everything requiring external transfers. Add voice print require in branch for new pays. They called to verify. I went in that afternoon, sat with a teller who looked exhausted, and made it impossible for family emergencies to open my account again. He said, "I wish more people did this before and not after." I said, "Same." At noon, Dad arrived at my door without texting. Old key didn't work. He knocked like a neighbor. I opened, but didn't step aside. He did the sigh he uses when money is about to be discussed. "Son," he started, "I know last night was heated." I said nothing. He shifted. "Your mother was out of line," he admitted, then quickly added, "But you didn't have to say no." I interrupted. He swallowed publicly. I looked at him. "She made a promise with my property in public." I corrected it in public. He rubbed his face. "AO is devastated. Ava is an adult." I said she can be devastated without my car. He stared past me at a framed print in my hallway. "The only art I've ever splurged on. There's always been a gap between what you can do and what you're willing to do," he said like he'd been workshopping it in the car. "I guess that's your line." "Yes," I said. "And it's staying put." He switched to bargaining. "Could you at least help with one invoice?" I shook my head. He tried the classic. "We're family." I said exactly. He left with a long exhale and a muttered, "You'll regret this." I closed the door and felt the quiet expand. Not peace yet. Space. Mom's first in-person attempt came that evening. She doesn't knock, she announces. "Open up," she called, voice bright and false. I opened the top lock and left the bottom. The gap was enough. Her makeup was done like she might have to be photographed. "It's not too late to make this right," she said. "Just post that you surprised Ava with a shared car and we'll handle the paperwork later." I said, "No," she blinked. "You're punishing me." "I'm protecting me." I replied. She scoffed. "You sound like your clients." "I wish you'd listen like mine do." I said, then closed the door gently. She texted a new tactic. We're having a family meeting Sunday. Be there at 2, I replied. I won't attend meetings where decisions are pre-written. She sent a photo of a legal pad with agenda across the top. Line 1, see line 2, boundaries underlined. I laughed in my kitchen by myself, which felt like a small hinge opening. Sunday came and I went for a drive instead. Empty roads, windows cracked, engine alahem. At a red light, a notification slid down. Unknown number. We're watching your plates. I took a photo of the message and forwarded it to Renee with one line. Is this extortion? She replied, it's stupid. Document everything. Coming Tuesday. That night, Aunt Mara posted on Facebook. Some people forget who paid for their education. A few family friends commented vague support. I typed, deleted, typed again, then posted nothing. Silence is hard. It's also strategic. Tuesday, at Renee's office, I handed over a tidy stack. She skimmed, then nodded. You've been the family wallet, she said. And they confused access with entitlement. We can make that legally inconvenient. Words I didn't know I needed. She drafted a letter. Cease and desist. Unauthorized attempts to modify insurance, title, or accounts, defamation, harassment. She sent copies to my parents Ava and, per my request, the wedding planner whose assistant had tried to just grab your keys for the getaway shot. The planner replied instantly, we are so sorry. We were following instructions from your mother. Renee sent a second letter. The planner refunded their handling fee. That felt petty and perfect. In the background, my life got quieter. My reception desk stopped getting urgent calls from Mom between 9 and 10 a.m. My doorman learned 3 faces and a rule. No deliveries from a friend of the family. My email filters caught subject lines with forgiveness, duty, and be reasonable. I didn't set that last one. Somehow it appeared. I left it. Then something I didn't predict. 2 cousins reached out privately. I saw what happened. One wrote, my mom tried to put a credit card in my name when I turned 18. I said, no. She still brings it up at Thanksgiving. Another cousin's message was simpler. Teach me how to boundary like that. I wrote back, start small. Repeat yourself. Don't explain past the point you'd want quoted. He replied with a laughing emoji and therapist. I typed then deleted yes and sent a thumbs up. A week after the wedding, Ava posted a black and white photo from the night with a long caption about letting go of negativity. A friend commented, your brother is so toxic. Ava liked it. I stared, felt the old ache lift, then put my phone down and made lentil soup. Not everything needs a response. 2 weeks after, Mom tried the nuclear option, calling my receptionist to schedule an emergency family session with me as the therapist. He has Wednesday at 4:3, she whispered. My receptionist has learned. He doesn't treat family, she said. Mom insisted. This is different. It isn't. I told my receptionist to block the number for a month. We laughed about it later. The gentle kind. 3 weeks in, the letter did its work. The insurance agent emailed. We received your legal notice. Your file is flagged. The DMV clerk who tolerated 2 attempted title inquiries added a note. Owner must be present with ID. No exceptions. Renee seat me. Subject line. Gates closed. The quiet turned real. I started sleeping like a person who doesn't keep one ear open for the next fire. I ran, read, worked. I bought a new lamp for the office, straightened the shade, and decided it looked fine crooked. There were losses. Sunday dinners went away, my choice, but still a shape missing. Dad's messages got shorter. Hope you're well, then nothing. Mom switched to public performance. Photos with captions like, family means sacrifice. A high school friend commented, preach. I muted her, and there were gains. I saw my clients differently. Not from a distance, but beside the woman who decided to skip her mother's weekly check-in call without explaining. The man who said he'd no longer co-sign his brother's 3rd lease. The teen who told her aunt no hugging at a barbecue and stood her ground when the aunt laughed. I told them, truly I'm proud. One evening, pulling into my building, I saw a small handprint smudge on the driver's side window. Kids love shiny things, so do adults. I wiped it off with the edge of my sleeve and realized I didn't feel protective in a braced way anymore. I felt protective like you do with a life you actually own. I kept Renee's card in my wallet. I didn't need to use it again. Knowing I could was enough. A month after the wedding, Leo asked to meet for coffee. Bright lights, safe distance for my mother. He arrived early, hands in pockets. "Thank you," he said. "For what?" "For drawing a line. I didn't know how to say no to your mom." I nodded. "She's practiced." He sighed. "Ava's learning slowly." He didn't ask for money or the car, just books on boundaries. I listed 3 and added in therapy. "Not with me." He laughed. "Not with you." 2 nights later, Ava texted, "I'm mad." My first instinct was to take. "I'm working on it. I won't ask about the car again." I typed back, "Thank you. I want you happy." People don't change like movies, more like old hinges. But better choices exist. I made one. Maybe she will. Mom and I aren't speaking. She emailed about respect and what family is for. I archived it. Maintenance, not cruelty. I don't know. Access to my nervous system. I still hear her public line. Brandon is gifting his luxury car. And the stranger's reply. Try to take his assets again, and you'll lose yours. The truth inside it. My assets are more than money. Time, attention, peace. My yes. Plain moral. Love without consent is control. Help without a boundary is harm. I can choose where my resources go and sit through disappointment without rescuing anyone. I drive my own car home and sleep. I keep the coupe, the practice, my Sundays. No one reaches for my keys or spins what isn't theirs. At least not without an answer. If you're the stable one, remember closing a faucet someone else left running isn't selfish. It's responsible. The wedding ribbon sits in my glove box. Small loop. Not what I refused, but what I kept. Boundaries aren't dramatic, just calm, repeated sentences. No is one syllable. It works. And that's enough. I choose the ordinary days I promised. I choose me.